Hey guys, I'm Jose. I'm the main developer of Blockhood. Welcome to this new episode of the video development blog of Blockhood. We are getting closer and closer to finishing our early access, and we have a new update for you. This is version 9.01 Populate. We're calling it Populate because there's a lot of new tools that have to do with the inhabitants of the game. And well, thanks again for all the feedback and all the support that we've been receiving in the forums and in Twitter. We've been following very closely all the comments, so we're trying to really debug everything and like just make every update kind of substantially better than what we've had before. But many times that involves connecting many different things and not just fixing one little thing and updating, but rather kind of make a larger update, which is the case right now. So hopefully many of the things will be solved. I'm gonna walk you through many of the new things, so you could be aware of what's going on. So let's jump into it. So we fixed the loading screen. There was an issue when you would load the game from this menu. If you would actually load it from inside the main game, you wouldn't have a problem, but this menu was somehow broken, so now it's actually fixed. But let's jump in and see what's new. So one of the things that you'll notice, so we have a few icons changed, and we have this new menu here. It's called the inhabitants menu, and you open it, it's going to be empty. You can also see here, this is the events menu, which you can also turn on and off here. And the events menu will actually trigger certain dynamic events. Like in this case, we have a heat wave active, right? And it's saying, oh, it's boiling hot. This actually has a cooldown, and it would actually have some production on its own. So if you're going through a heat wave, there's going to be leisure with a negative 0.5 or negative 5 at a rate of 5. So that means that every 5 seconds, there's going to be minus 5 leisure. So you can see here that you have a negative contribution of leisure, right? So if you have leisure, that's going to go negative. Your resources can never go to a negative degree. So if you don't have it, it's not going to be used, right? So that's there's several dynamic events, and those are triggered in many ways by your actions. And some of them are climatic, but some of them are based on what's going on in your neighborhood, right? What we see here is kind of a forecast that it's saying the event nighttime is coming in, and nighttime is an event that just basically triggers during nighttime, and it will cancel out the production of electricity from solar panels or anything that requires sun. So now there's kind of a more dynamic conditions that affect the blocks that you're playing with, right? So let's get and build something. You'll see now that there's a small difference in highlights. So elements that you can actually build because you have the resources for them. You see, for instance, here the water tower, we have water, money, so we can actually build it. But everything else that you don't have the resources for, it's going to be grayed out, right? And you would see like a slight different brightness. So this is actually helping you to see what are you missing in order, if you want to build something specific, right? Let's say you want to build a water boiler, you will need water. So let's start creating some water towers and see how our production starts going up with water. I'm gonna definitely need some electricity, so I'm gonna put some like wind turbines here. And you'll see as soon as we start having water, we're gonna start being able to produce any of the trees that require water. You see that they kind of get bright now because they need water, and I'm gonna just put some of these trees somewhere around here, and I'm gonna surround them with a little bit of grass. Maybe I can get some animals popping out. So there we go, we have some electricity. Our money, it's going down because we need maintenance. We can go and check what's going on with the water towers. So our money is actually going down, so we need to produce money, and for that we actually gonna have to produce basically people and inhabitants that are consumers, and we're gonna create these corridors that would enable inhabitants to walk around. You see, we got our first inhabitant unlocked here. We have deer. And now the interesting thing is that actually you can go into inspect mode And you can actually select the inhabitants as well, right? So you can say, okay, Ruby, the deer, it's actually the mood. Is it happy? Is it not happy? And it has a home tile, so it means that this is where it lives. And there's certain likes and dislikes. This is kind of all the new stuff that we've been working on. It's a new module that will kind of procedurally create certain likes, certain characteristics. So this deer might be different from this other deer. They definitely like organic waste, or the olive tree or particular form, and they dislike certain resources. And let's say the tooltip will tell you, okay, over 55 points of pollution, it would actually get -1 mood. And you can see that this deer is already getting a bit happier because it's just hanging around areas that he likes, right? So Wendell the deer, it's not so happy, and yeah, you can just go through them. And here the inhabitants panel will tell you what are the happiness level of your inhabitants, right? So you might be making the deer happy, but maybe you're making your people unhappy. You're gonna have to just decide what is the populations that you want to privilege, and you might want to try to make everybody happy, and that would be certainly a challenge. But let's keep building, because otherwise we're gonna run out of money here. So I'm gonna create some apartments. This will produce labor, and you see that we want to create a corner store that would actually give us money, but we don't have labor or consumers. So I'm going to build it anyway. I mean, it's not that we're locking the production, but I'm going to create a few of these large apartments that would give us consumers, and we still have money in a negative. So let's put a few more stores. This will help us get some people. So money, it's positive now. Great. And maybe we need a bit more electricity. There we go. So we have everything in green. That's not necessarily good because some of these things are actually, for instance, gray water is something that you don't want to have too much, right? It's kind of a negative contribution. Organic waste or inorganic waste, these are things that you have production, meaning that it's increasing, but it's something that you might not want to have. You might have to make sure that you don't overproduce these things, because otherwise other kind of bad effects are going to start happening. But let's look at our population. So you could see now we have like several customers, people that are shopping around, and we can actually select them here in the panel as well, and we can just, it would just be highlighted in the game, right? So you can like if you can find them directly here, like clicking on them, you can just select them. You could see that the raycasting, I mean the selection, it has a priority over agents than tiles, so you can just select them easier. But you could also select them here in the panel here on the left, right? So this would give you an indication. For instance, Adele now is actually not so happy. She doesn't seem to like organic waste, and that might be something that is being produced quite a bit. So over 55 organic waste, she's actually not so happy, right? So we could try to make these guys happier. Let's get rid of organic waste. That seems to be a good way to go. So the anaerobic digester would actually create, we'll get rid of organic waste. So we can start putting some digesters here, and so far our organic waste is still positive, so now we have it in negative. So that means that eventually we'll get down to 0. So this is good. We're still in good production of water. And now we're going to have biogas and fertilizer. So we're actually good to things with that. So we're trying to give you tools to figure out what to do with the new resources that you have. So for instance, if you go to the creation panel, you can click fertilizer, and it will tell you, oh, this actually uses fertilizer, right? An input, right? There might be other things that has an O. So I is input, O is for output. And those are the tools that will help you navigate some of the complexities of the game, right? How do you go around finding what to create next? And hopefully these kind of highlights will also help you determine what is the kind of possible avenues that you have available. So for instance, you could create a library right now, you have a barber shop. Using the wheel of the mouse, you can actually navigate between these different tabs. That makes it much easier. Oh, we're having an issue with the rain. It's pretty dramatic at that point. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna have to fix that. But okay, so that's something else to improve. We have vertical rain, horizontal rain. But for now, this is kind of the comments on the update. All these new tools that have to do with inhabitants and their happiness and how to play with them. So that's it for now. And stay tuned for the final release that is going to come soon. Thank you guys.